When I grow up, I want to be an NBA basketball player.
When I grow up, I want to be a famous soccer player.
When I grow up, I want to be a professional football player.
When I grow up, I want to be a professional cheerleader.
How many of us grew up wanting these exact same things, yet we find ourselves accepting less than we dreamed of as a child? Trauma, adversity, unfair circumstances, you name it. Totally understandable, yet, is it really? Here at I'm 1% Possible, we explore the unsung heroes, the everyday, unassuming individuals that you may have never heard of. But they all have one thing in common. When life struck them, they struck back. With my good friend and multiple world record holder and world champion, Ryan Collins. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm honored to have you. I've had some very unique, interesting individuals, but come to find out when somebody posted a story that helped me learn more about your story. And I thought it was worth sharing. So, without further ado, I just got to brag on my boy a little bit. I've been racing with Ryan. I'm going to tell a funny story. First time
No.
I met Ryan, probably 3 or 4 years ago at World Championships. And Ryan rolls in, full kit, fastest looking bike I'd seen. And then his mom had his permission slip. And I swear to God, I thought you were 14. And I was like, who is this kid rolling in here with his mommy's got his permission slip? Like, we are going to work this dude so bad. No, I learned my lesson that day. I think that was the first or the second time you smashed the 12 hour. And I quickly learned, just as with myself, don't judge a book by the cover. And oh, my dogs wanted to say hello. And from that point forward, we became friends. And I'm a fan of Ryan. So, how many times have you won 6 or 12 hour world championships?
So let's see. So the 12-hour championship, I have won 3 times, and the 6-hour championship, I have won twice.
What makes you choose those distances versus 24? It's not a lack of capacity.
It's an interesting question because I've thought of that as well. I think it comes down to when I first got into ultra cycling, I targeted a 12-hour race. This was after one of my accidents, and it was just a wild and ambitious goal, something that I thought was insurmountable and at the time, stupid. Like, why would I want to ride my bike for 12 hours or more? This is coming from someone who rode my bike. Like, if I could do a century ride, that was awesome. My races never exceeded 75 miles, and quite often for time trials, it was 24 miles or less. So in and out in less than an hour. And now I'm 12 hours? Are you kidding me? So I bounced back, did this first race, and it went well, but
Okay.
I finally found my focus. I thought this was something I wanted to pursue. I wanted to come back, I wanted to challenge it, and I wanted to do it better than I did it before. And so I just kept coming back to 12 hours, 12 hour, 12 hour, 12 hour, 12 hour. I won the national championship. The next step was the world championship. And that was the ultimate goal. So after winning the 12-hour championship, I think that was everything I wanted to accomplish. 6 hour came about as a result of a different goal. One of my accidents was tailored around velodromes, and I knew
Okay.
I wanted to get back. So this set into progress an ambitious plan, not going to the Olympics. What's the next opportunity we have available to target something that's great? And I thought, let's go after a world record on the velodrome. And 12 hours seemed crazy at the time. 12 hours on a velodrome seems like ludicrous. So,
Especially a quarter mile track.
yes. When every lap is like around 14 to 15 seconds, I, quick mental math here, that's a lot of laps. So, so we targeted 6 hours. And the plan built into place suggested that a targeting race around the Borrego timeframe would actually be an excellent opportunity to test form. And I figured this falls right into plan, and that's why we targeted the 6 hour race. The following year, in 2025, I returned to Borrego to race for the 6 hour event to defend my title and to capitalize on the 666, the European Championship, the US National Championship, and the World Championship.
That's right. I forgot. Last year you went to Europe.
That's right. So I completed the three-peat.
Ah, okay. Well, I look forward to hearing about these accidents, but I got to confirm because if I remember correctly, you went and did the velo with my first coach, Matthew, in San
Yes,
Diego.
that's right.
All right. So, small world. And then he happened to be there at Worlds this year. So,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. Thanks,
Shout out to Matt. He is an incredible guy.
Mike
And
Butler, Matt
yeah,
San Diego. He's the man. Dude, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, he's an incredible support, and I owe a tremendous amount of success directly to him.
How did you guys link up?
So we linked up because of this world record attempt in San Diego.
Right.
I initially had plans to break this outdoor world record in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
There's the outdoor velodrome at Trexlertown, and timing was not on my side. Where I showed up to the velodrome one day, actually, it was about a little bit over a month before my planned record attempt, and the velodrome said, "We'll be closing for construction." And I went, "Oh no."
No, no, no. What'd you really say?
Yeah, I went, "Oh, that's not good."
Fuck me.
So panic ensued, and I went, "Okay, so where are there other outdoor velodromes?" And initially I thought, well, San Diego. So quick internet searching.
Is there a difference between an outdoor velo and an indoor velo in terms of records?
There are
Ah,
out, so there's a differentiation. So going indoor was a whole separate set of records,
got it.
which is
Okay.
why I pursued the indoor velodrome records last year as well with
Got it.
Matt at the end of the year.
Good. Good to know.
So when we had this closure in Pennsylvania, I looked towards San Diego, somewhere warm. Wind was a huge variable, so somewhere slightly protected. And just through internet searches, Matt just kept coming up. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. And I went, all right,
He is.
he's the guy. We ensued contact, and the rest has been history. He was just instrumental in getting this whole record set up, being just support and a, a friend the whole time.
I gotta brag on Matt a little bit. He helped me in the beginning stages of my journey, but he's actually a Race Across America finisher,
Hmm.
solo, Race Across the West, solo, and was he's a retired professional and he raced in Europe. So Matt's kind of done it all. And now he helps kids out with the Velo Youth program at the Velodrome, helping the underprivileged kids understand how to handle bikes, basically gives them the equivalent of their first car once they graduate high school, except it's a bike. They can use that to get to work, get to school, whatever they need to do. But he's a one of a kind. So that's pretty awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take us back because I understand the here and now, but I don't understand the Ryan of before. Where did you grow up, and how did you set your sights on Olympic cycling?
I think to answer that question, we're going to go back pretty far.
Good, that's what I want to hear.
We're going to start back in the days of middle school.
Middle
So
school.
growing up, I always played sports. I was always excited to be part of a team. I loved to run and just to get my hands on any type of bat, ball, running type esque anything. So that meant tennis, baseball, basketball, soccer, lacrosse,
Okay.
football, I was out there. And I had my favorites. As I grew up through different sports, I tended to favor soccer and tennis. And as I was in middle school, those were like the primary sports. So I
Okay.
knew that when I went into high school, I was going to pursue those two sports.
And what
Inevitably, I went,
part of the country did you grow up in?
East Coast, Maryland.
Okay. Decent cycling culture out there, I assume.
At the time, yes, the cycling culture is pretty great. There's a lot of support here in Annapolis specifically, but we can touch upon. Oh, come on.
I'm an army guy. Come on. I don't like the Navy.
All
I know
right.
what
Well,
I know what's out there.
that's fair. Well, but Race Across America finishes here, so you're gonna have to touch your feet here in Annapolis at some point.
See, I want to, and that was the plan because I was going to fly a Go Army Beat Navy flag all the way across the country and then go
Mm.
plant it on their parade field when it was over. Except we went to we finished in Atlantic City this past year.
Yep.
So I was saddened by that, but that means we got to come back.
And you just got to do it again.
Yeah, we will. It'll come eventually. Okay. All right. So Annapolis, tennis, soccer. Clearly, you're extremely athletic. How do we go from that to, I would call this a very niche sport, into cycling? And it's definitely probably the most expensive sport besides motorsports.
Well, it all comes down to the sense of community.
Okay.
As I transitioned through middle school and going into high school, I was set on soccer and tennis. I didn't make the soccer team, and I was devastated. And as a result, I set my eyes on tennis. But I didn't really find a tremendous amount of excitement in playing tennis in the winter. I wanted to be outdoors. And so
Okay.
as high school picks up, that competitive level gets higher and higher and higher, and people are vying for those college scholarships and sponsorships. There was a lot more pressure on the sport. And so I had to stay fit in some capacity over the winter. So I turned to cycling.
Okay.
My local bike shop had a cycling class every Thursday, and I figured why not go and just stay in shape. And so we went. Everyone had trainers set up. This was a completely different atmosphere than just like a spin class at the gym.
Okay, that was my next question. So, all right,
Yeah. So
let's set the scene for the average viewer who only knows indoor cycling as a spin class.
we've got like 20 trainers that are set up in the room. We've got these massive industrial fans. There's probably about five of them, one in each corner of the room, and then one in the very back of the room to funnel the air through.
Okay.
You've got people on their own road bikes, some a mix, some had like hybrid bikes that were in there as well.
Okay.
And then at the very front of the room, very similar to like a gym class, you had your cycling instructor. But in this case, everyone had a heart rate monitor or a power meter, and there was a
The early
prescribed.
days. What are the early days of power meters like?
Yeah, it was like those Cyclops power tap wheels in the back.
Okay.
If you had the resources, maybe you were lucky to have a Quark or an early SRM.
Okay.
But mostly these were all just power tap wheels spinning away in the pain cave of the back room of a cycling studio.
I can imagine the odor now.
Yeah, hey, it was good times. That
Excellent.
was
Smells like
Yeah,
excellence.
that's right.
Okay.
But I think it was from that experience I met all these people, and they were so supportive. And immediately for me, as someone who's very results driven, I could see the progress. Heart rate is dropping. My
Right.
ability to spin faster, and granted, metrics were not always dialed in and precise, but higher speeds achieved for longer periods of time. Like that's cool to me.
And you're
Um,
14, 15.
yeah,
Did you have your own roadie at this point?
I did. So
Okay.
for Christmas, I got my very first road bike, and
What was
it
that? Come on. That's
it
everybody's dream. We all remember our first bike. What was
it
that?
was a Felt Z100. It was
Okay.
a very beautiful blue and sparkly, like paint-esque frame.
Okay.
It was like the sun hit it. It was nice and shiny, and it was everything. I remember it had the dual brakes, like they had the brakes on the drops and the brakes on the tops. Because
Okay.
I wasn't used to the road bike drop bar yet, so I had my options for different hand placements. Um, and yeah, it was a triple. I think it was a 10 speed triple. So
Wow, man, you're aging yourself in the beginning of modern day cycling. That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
But
I
it
would
was
assume you have a photo of it. That'll be in the intro when we push all this stuff out. So
yeah.
man, that's I think back to my high school experience. We're not that far apart. I'm 33. You're now 28.
31.
Oh, see, look. Okay, so we're real close. I just imagine the lunchroom discussion. No one's walking in going, "Yeah, I prefer wearing spandex and spinning my way to school on my felt bike."
Yeah.
Like,
No,
what's that like?
we kept that more under wraps.
Ah, okay.
See, I think what was really interesting and probably played a role in my growth and upbringing is that a lot of people didn't understand cycling, and so
We
especially
still
in
don't.
high school.
Still
So,
don't.
I would depending upon what time I had, I would sit with like the tennis kids,
Okay.
and we would talk about our upcoming games or matches, training, prep, whatever it may be. But if people ask me about cycling, I would say things like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I just got these awesome new shoes. I can't wait. They're my first pair of carbon soled shoes." And or I've been eyeing this jersey. I finally got it. It's felt by Hincapie. I've been dying to get this jersey. And they're like, "You wear spandex?" And it was kind of like
I mean, this is we
critical.
grew up in the real men wear pink era, so
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Okay.
Different kinds of conversation.
I
But
did a, a little bit of spin
mm,
classes in high school with my dad. We would go to the gym over the summer and just to maintain like you kind of a cross training perspective. And I loved it then, but no, there was no, it was quarter turn to the right, quarter turn to the right. That's how we were all controlling our resistance, and
yep.
there was no metrics. So you really, it's no surprise, you really went all in at a
Well,
pretty early age.
so if we could take that a step further, what was actually
Okay.
pretty remarkable. So that community there in that spin class, that shaped who I am today. I mean, from there it was, Ryan, you're doing great, but what are you drinking in your bottle? And what I really appreciated is like you have these conversations about like going to the gym, and people say like you don't correct someone else's form, or you don't say like what's in your pre-workout drink. But
Right.
I think there was a unique connection where I was 14 years old, I was younger, and there were all these senior racers who were in there who were cat ones, cat twos, and so they were like they saw my enthusiasm, but they were there to support. And they would say like you can't just drink water, like you got to do something a little bit more, or what did you have to eat before this? And I meatloaf. Like what
Right.
else? And they're like, you had wait, what? No, no,
Whatever
no.
mom gave me.
Yeah, these come on. We can do better. And
Okay.
so that's where the whole passion and excitement of nutrition and physiology, human performance came into play. And so now my mind was blown. Like sport beans, like by Jelly Belly, like what are electrolyte gummy jelly bean things? What carbs? I want to take those. I thought I'm trying to lose
Right.
weight and I don't want to eat things. Tell me more. What's a Cliff
Jolt
Bar?
bubble gum.
Yeah. So that introduced me to so many different people that inspired me to actually enter my first race. And
Okay.
where I'm going with this is that there was in a wonderful family, the Palmer family. Aiden was one of my great friends growing up. He got into cycling. And so
Okay.
his mother, Lisa, actually took over the junior development program for the Annapolis bicycle racing team. And from there, it grew into a bigger support group for the kids as we learned how to race, what is a bike, how does it operate, and all aspects of cycling. Taking it further, in the winter, we'd go to our local gym. And this was a very progressive gym in the sense that they had Ceres spin bikes. So these had the power taps built in, and
Wow.
so we were incredibly bougie with our Cyclops Joule computers measuring watts, cadence, heart rate, speed. And so, yes, you had the little knobs that like turn to the right, but you actually could measure your power output. And we had guidance from a Cat 1 racer who would guide us on training Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And we had a full hour and a half training plan with just the kids in this gym, which was amazing. And it really fostered that sense of community and excitement and motivated everyone to show up and bring their best self like every week.
That's incredible. In high school, I can't imagine that level of opportunity.
I know it was something
Oh.
truly different, unique. It was amazing.
Now, is that just an East Coast thing? Is that an Annapolis thing?
That
That's
was just an Annapolis thing. You know,
okay.
the competitive scene here is one-sided in my perspective because I didn't grow up on or the West Coast or in California.
Right.
All I can speak to is what I saw here. And what's truly incredible is that there's so much excitement for junior cycling. So I would actually say that while our program was very unique and supported,
Okay,
so what
so super unique and supportive in your environment in the East Coast. Take us from there.
there are other programs that were equally, if not better, supported. And so as I look back, there were other programs in the DC area where they had a history of junior cycling. So they literally had sheds full of bikes from every size, from kids who were 6 to 18. I think that's the junior category range.
Okay.
And so they had every bike from road bike, mountain bike, cyclocross, and they would invite any kid, try. If you like it, here's a bike. It's free
Ah,
and you don't get to keep it. The caveat is you must maintain it. If something breaks, you replace it and you fix it. And when you outgrow it, you give it back and we'll give
so
you a new
similar
one.
to Velo Youth in San Diego.
Similar, exactly. And so they get kids on bikes. They encourage them to train and to take care of it. And at the end of the day, they had training practices and they wanted you to race. And if you did well, great. And if you decided this wasn't for you, you returned the bike and you said, thank you for the experience, but I'm done.
So we caveated you were going to your first race. You're 14.
Yes.
What's that like? Where is that at?
So this was in Tyson's Corner, Virginia.
Okay.
And I remember this race distinctly. It was my first race. I didn't really know what to expect. So I show up, pin on my number. I'm warming up on the trainer in the parking lot and get to the line with all the other kids. The race director blows the whistle, people take off. And it's important to note that this course was on a hill. It was a criterium. So you basically started at the top of the hill, you made a left-hand turn, you went down the hill, you made another left-hand turn, and then you went back up the hill. So within that first lap, the race just blew up.
Right.
And you had we were racing the two categories. So basically, I think we had kids age 10 to 17 in that group
It's a pretty
and
big range.
big range. And so you had definitely the spread of that's first, that's second, that's third, and where's Ryan? Where's Ryan?
Oh no.
Where's Ryan? There's Ryan.
Oh no.
But that's okay. It was my first race, and if nothing else, that just fueled my fire because I finished it. I was excited, like I did it. I couldn't even tell you what place I finished in. It wasn't last, it wasn't first, it definitely wasn't 1 through 4. But regardless, I was excited because it was the first opportunity I had my adrenaline rushing, like the start of the race. Let's go.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I got to speak with those individuals who coached me through the spin class. They were at the race. I got to watch them warm up and then I got to watch them race. And I went, holy moly. When you get into the Cat 1 2 races and you hear the wheels spinning, the free
Oh.
hubs chiming, and
Ooh.
the peloton flying through, especially as they're going down the hill, and then when I saw their speeds going up the hill, I went, oh, I want to be like that. I want to do that. How do I get there? How many bears or gummy beans do I have to eat to be carb fueled to sprint up the hill at that speed? Like,
Yes, dude, that's awesome.
so that really inspired me and excited me to continue to pursue this. And the rest has just been history there.
Wow. So how do we go from probably barely finishing a race to Olympic hopeful? Shout out. I know you're sponsored by the feed. I got my Infinite right here.
There we go.
Thanks for the fuel.
Got the feed here. Let's see where the camera here.
Yep, you're good. That I mean, that's a big gap. And I would argue we live in a country that doesn't give a shit about cycling on the grand scale, especially even at the Olympic level. Like, if you're anything worth anything, you go race in Europe and, maybe you do this ultra stuff, but a lot of I'm sure your coach and my coaches, like, why do you do this? So, how do you make that leap, especially as a 14-year-old kid who just got his ass kicked?
Yeah, so I had that motivation. And after that first race, I knew I wanted to come back. And I had different goals. So first was I'm going to try a road race. I'm going to try a criterium. I'm going to try a time trial. I'm going to see what I like. And I'm going to try racing different races and just get stronger. After that first year, I hired a coach who was more dedicated to cycling. And then I had higher aspirations. I want to race and I want to win what we consider the Mid Atlantic Time Trial Series. So it's a
Right,
series of different races. You get points for each race. And at the end of the year, whoever has the highest accumulated points wins the race.
right,
Now, then they also had the bar. So for every race you participate in, a criterium, a road race, a time trial, you get different points based on your placement. And
right.
again, at the end of the year, whoever has the most amount of points wins the bar. Now, what was very cool about these two events is that there were jerseys associated with it. And you got to wear that jersey or the skin suit for the following year. And I
Wow,
went,
that's cool.
I want that. I want to be recognized as the Mabra Mid Atlantic Bicycle Racing Association champion or the time trial champion. So we started focusing on what's the calendar of races? How do I race each weekend? Where are the races? How do I get there? What do I need to do to be prepared for these different important races? Like the championship race.
All right.
So we started focusing on those, dialing things in, and we traveled all around the East Coast. I met incredible people. I built up a huge network of support, just advocacies or advisors, and then friends. And ultimately, that brought us into bigger opportunities. So different events, different races, being nominated to be on a BMC, like the BMC development team. Like
Wow.
that was a very cool experience.
And how
And
old were you when that happened?
so I was going to throw out a random number, but let's see, that would have been 2016. So I would have been 19.
I'm just curious. The other people on the development team, how old are they?
So it was a junior team. So it was a U23 team.
Okay.
So we had individuals 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I guess, yeah, all age ranges there, 17 through 22.
Okay, but that's a pretty big deal because you had just started racing not long before that.
That's right. I had only been cycling 4 years, racing roughly three. So it was a big deal.
Wow.
But then it fuels the fire. So now you get into things where you're invited to different races. You have different professional teams who show up in town and they say, "Hey, I want to go for a ride." You get networked where you find people contacting you because you raced against them in North Carolina, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, we're coming up to DC. Do you have any routes for us? Or better yet, come join us on a ride." Like that's pretty cool. So
Now let's go back because I don't want to forget this. This was so important to you at 15 that you got a coach and dedicated a solid at least year of effort. Did you end up winning that series?
I did.
Oh,
That's
ho!
right. That was the biggest accomplishment. We went through. Um, I was tremendously appreciated. I had all the support from my parents to travel around, and we went to all these different races. The Mid Atlantic Series was a huge success. You would appreciate it because actually one of the races we started out of a B-12 bomber, and they
Like
rolled us
down the
down.
ramp.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was definitely a
Oh,
highlight of that series. The Mid Atlantic Racing Association, the champ, that was very humbling because the race was never consistent, meaning there were at least 20 races that were comprised or that comprised this championship.
okay.
And I didn't win every single one.
No,
There
but
were
you showed up to every one, so you had more points.
I showed up. I did place favorably in each one, but it was humbling in the sense that criteriums were not my specialty. I did my best. And just because I have the jersey, it does not mean I won the jersey. I was successful because of my team. The team was there to
Okay.
help me. We would have lead outs in the criteriums, in the road races. If it came down to a two-man breakaway, they would say, you take the points, you go ahead. Time trials, of course, were all me. But there was
Wow.
so much work behind the scenes that the team came together and made this happen.
How does that feel at 15? I mean, that's the every boy's dream. I got my Live Strong bracelet on right now. Like
Yeah.
that's that's how it works. Even Matt said, "Hey, when I raced in Europe, like I was just the guy who did the work to let the other guy win." What
Yep.
does that feel like as a 15-year-old that I'm assuming you got young to 19-year-old kids basically working for you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you talk about the team aspect of sports, and a lot of it goes unnoticed where people are often selfish. I mean, I was too when I played soccer. I wanted to score the goal. I wanted to be the hero on the team. But you've established this sense of community and just camaraderie among the team where everyone recognized if I win, we win, or if he wins, we win. And
Right.
so I didn't always win. There were times where I let my teammates take the win. But it aside from the points that it gave us at the end, we were kids, so we
Right.
didn't often race for money. If there was ever any money involved, we
Right.
would split it.
That's
And
cool.
so it was very cool. Like we weren't making thousands of dollars. We'd finish a stage race and we'd probably get like, I don't know, $120, which is
Right.
awesome. But yeah, I
But
just
that's
remember the
not even
first.
enough for the fuel there and back, probably.
No, it's not. But it's one of those things I remember. Yeah, there was one race in particular. It was a stage race, and it was close. It was time based, and I was sitting in fourth place. I was like 2 seconds behind third and 3 seconds behind second. Like it was tight.
That's pretty close.
And the last race was a criterium, and my teammate came over, pulled me up, and gave me a lead out to the end. So he lost his place in the race, but I ended up getting that extra 4 second lead that put me into second place, and that's where we got like our $120. And so they did the podium at the end. I opened up the white envelope, gave him cash. I'm just like, thank you, and he was surprised. I'm like, no, like we did this together, and I think that kind of set the tone for the rest of the team as we kept going to every other race. It was like, we are in this together.
You know, it's funny because unless you do relays, at least in ultra, most people see cycling as a pretty individual sport.
Exactly.
So it's really cool to hear this perspective because everybody else, in my experience, I came from triathlon. There's no teams.
That's right.
It's all you. So that's really interesting and unique. And to experience that as a in your formative years of growth, like
Yeah.
wow,
I mean, those are developmental years. That exactly
yeah,
ties into I am who I am today because of the unique experiences that built me up. And through those times, that is why I embody the values that I have today.
wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's really impactful. How do you go from that? You graduate at 17, 18,
Yep.
or did you go straight to college, or was it,
Went
you know,
straight to college.
okay? And where was that?
Went to the University of Maryland.
Okay. It's not like we can study cycling.
Well, actually, you can.
Oh, all right. Hit it.
So in high school, I loved biology. I always
Okay.
wanted to cut people open. I wanted to save lives. I wanted to be that hero. I wanted to be a doctor in some sorts. Well, my one fatal flaw is blood. And I realized in
Me
all of the
too, bro.
dissections, like I just did not handle cutting open animals, let alone people. So it was in your best interest, the general public's best interest, that I do not become a surgeon or a doctor. So
Fair enough.
I entered into college with a pre-med focus.
Okay.
And I was discouraged because when I showed up on day one, my advisor handed me my course list and said, these are the courses that you must take in order to graduate. You have the flexibility of like one extra class a year, and you can choose that as your elective. And I went, okay, so you're telling me I don't really have a choice in my college education. Like this is it.
Right.
And they said, well, you can choose whatever you want to do, but you're going to be here for a few extra years and you can pay for that if you'd like. And I went, no.
So did you get a
So
scholarship to University of Maryland?
I did.
Okay. And was that academic or sports related or a mix of both?
Academic.
Okay.
So, but I didn't want to spend 6 years in college.
Fair enough. I
So to
respect
that
that.
extent, I decided to challenge the status quo. And I petitioned the university. After my freshman year, I went back to the board and I said, these are all the classes that I want to take. I'm still my pre-med major, but I want to change and I want to add these courses about kinesiology, health, public policy, um, human physiology, and we're going to call it nutritional physiology.
I'm a kinesiology major, so you're speaking right up my language.
And so the
Perfect.
university board came back and said, we approve. The caveat is you have to find a faculty mentor who's going to walk you through and guide you through every step of the way to ensure that you're staying aligned to the university values, but also that this major is going to be something.
Okay.
Not just you spent time here at the university and did some things.
You
And you
created
have to.
your own major as a sophomore.
I created my own major,
Wow.
and then I had to put together a business plan. In essence, what do I
Okay.
plan to do with this major? What is my 5 year plan after I graduate?
Okay.
And so
Wow.
created my major, and within that time, I spent a lot of time studying and researching. But I worked closely with kinesiology majors. So the
Yeah.
next thing I know, I'm getting phone calls saying, "We need a subject to help us with our VO2 max test. Can you just jump on the bike for like 20 minutes or so next Thursday and like a free VO2 max test? Heck yeah!" And
Those
then
were terrible.
I learned to get smarter though, because
Okay.
after they called, they would say, "We've got these resources where we can do lactate testing." And so then they would call
Oh,
me back up and say, "We need a subject to be back on the ergometer for 20 minutes next Friday." And I said, "Yeah, I'll be there, but you got to throw in the lactate testing too at the same time." So I got all these different
did,
additives.
did you have the massive tube that's almost like a CPAP that shoves into your mouth and
It didn't go that far in, but yeah, the big mask that went
oh
on. My favorite was when I had to go, because I took the same lab as well. So actually, um, I had to be present in the lab. So they
right,
asked me to be present to study, and then for the second half of the lab to be a subject.
right.
And the bike ergometer was not working that day, and they said, "Well, change of plans. We need you to run." And I went,
Oh,
"Oh no, you don't understand.
oh,
I don't run." And so now you want me to push my limit on this treadmill that's going to increase in grade every 30 to seconds to a minute.
oh, you're bringing
This
back
is,
some painful memories. Man.
I just remember my friend was standing behind me on the treadmill, encouraging me. And they said, just keep pushing until failure. And when you're done, just fall and we'll catch you. And I went, oh, well, I mean, I have total faith in Tyler. I know he will catch me, but I just don't know if I can let myself do that. But yeah, that was a hard day. So could
We
I
did
study cycling?
we did
No.
run to walk transition.
Yeah.
We did the same type of stuff. We had uh we had a kid in my major that was a triathlete. Obviously, when you're running, so for people who don't know, the bike ergometer is just almost basically a typical stationary bike. There's some weights or some restrictions, which they keep adding, which is the resistance, but it's nothing special. At least mine was.
Mhm.
Well, of course, the one triathlete who actually knew how to properly pedal, even though we're not wearing clip-in shoes, figured out how to activate his hamstrings. We're like, bro, the rest of us are over here dying. He's just cruising along. We're like, man, I'll never forget those times down in the basement lab.
Yep, those were
Just
good times.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that in a while. Bringing back the memories. Okay.
So to answer your question, you can't study cycling, but we got pretty close.
Yep. Fair enough. Man, I wish I would. I didn't have the foresight to do any of those things because I wasn't a cyclist back then.
Hmm.
It's really interesting. Do you happen to remember? You've probably done a lot of VO2 stuff and lactate. Do you remember any of that data from college?
So I have the printouts actually saved in a folder. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I have all the data here.
That's cool. Man, that's cool. I lost all that data,
Mm.
but damn. Okay, so far, from what I'm hearing, things are pretty good, right?
Things are pretty good.
I'm not hearing adversity. I'm not hearing trauma. Besides going button heads with the board of regents and you know creating your own thing, which knowing you that doesn't surprise me in any capacity. But again, we high school against the grain, now college against the grain. So I'm sensing a pattern here.
Hmm.
When do we go, hey, I want to be an Olympian? And are you still training in college? Because obviously you were on the BMC development team.
Yes, still training in college.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was also racing collegiately. So we had
Okay.
the collegiate series that happened. Those were tough bonding years in the frigid cold temperatures in
Woo.
February. But yes,
East Coast winters are the worst.
still, yeah, still training, trying
Oh,
to get it in. And the Olympic sites were really not on my radar at that time
okay.
until they appeared. And I received contact, and they said, "We want to consider you for Team USA." So I went, interesting. I've had a few
Ah,
outreaches before. There were throughout my network, there were times that people would reach out saying, "I'm starting a new bike brand at the Velodrome. I want you to ride my bike. I'm making you a custom bike. I want you to represent this brand. I want you to race or compete." Like, I get that. Um, so it was one of those, is this real?
okay.
Is this really an opportunity? Let's take this a step further and consider, what is this true potential and opportunity? If this is real, what does that mean? How do we make this a reality? So let's start dialing up training. Let's make it more specific. Racing the local criterium this weekend is fun, but if I
You don't
can
want to win a pair of socks, Ryan? What do you?
as much as I'd love to win a pair of socks, I'd rather spend 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be, with focused dedication. And I might just burn a couple holes in my current pair of socks. But at least I can get further and drive this initiative home for the broader goal where I can get a pair of Team USA socks.
Amen.
So that's where this ultimate goal came into play. And things started to look up. Like this, now it's a broader conversation as to, Mom and Dad, this is not what I had in mind. Like, uh, do I focus on work? Do I focus on school? Like, what are my priorities here? And we found a balance, of course, with school and with cycling. That all was fine. But the challenge was, if this works out, do I go into business? Like when I graduate, um, how does that work? Um, and trying to figure out what life looks like after that extent. So after a few thoughtful conversations, we ironed it out, and all eyes were set on the Olympics.
Now, what Olympiad timeline are we looking at here, just so people kind of understand contextually where we're
So we are looking at 20. Well, so it's a good conversation or good idea or thought, because it was 2018. So that could have been considered for,
20 or 2024.
yes,
Okay. And what were they pushing you towards? 2020?
we were going towards 2020.
Okay. Now you're still in college.
So at this point, so I graduated oh, sorry, you're right. Yes, yep.
You're
Still in
finishing it up,
college,
right?
wrapping up college, getting ready to enter the real world. And so it's brand new start.
To provide a little bit more context here, I want people broader to understand. When you're on the Olympic team, it's not like they're just pouring cash on you like an NIL team,
Mhm.
especially endurance equivalent sports. Again, nobody cares. So unless you got sponsors paying your bills, like you've got to work.
Yep.
You're obviously still in college. You got class. You got to train. You got to eat like it's a full time job, and you got to recover. And I would imagine you're also trying to have a social life and maybe a girlfriend.
And so many in flux, so many things in balance. It's hard.
Wow. So what does that look like? You graduate, created your own major, you're training full time. What is the next step towards Team USA? Did you get to there's also different levels. We've got the national team. We've got the prep national team. Then there's the international team, and they're traveling all over the world. Where did you fall within that?
So unfortunately, we never made those steps. As I was to fly out and join Team USA, I was involved in my first accident, and that derailed all goals and all hopes that we had of the team. And at the time, the thought of any future possibility with the team. So on one of my training rides, I was on my way back home. I finished executing the session, and the next thing you know, I'm on the ground. I had been involved in an accident with a car, and the paramedics were. I just remember they like, he's delusional. He thinks he's going to the Olympics,
Oh
and
no,
I'm like, no, no.
no, this is real.
I'm like, this is real. This is real. So fractured bones, completely derailed all hopes between rehabilitation, um, multiple surgeries. It took a long time to get back. Not even just to get back, but just to regain sense of normalcy. So that was the big challenge. But ultimately, what pushed me into the world of ultracycling. At that time, I came out from surgery, and the doctor told me you're never going to ride a bike again. And like,
Oh,
as the tears were rolling down, I'm thinking, oh, just watch me.
right.
And I thought, I just have to ride my bike one more time. I just have to sit on the trainer. I'm just going to put my hands up on the handlebars and 10 minutes, if that, that's all I want. Just want to ride my bike. And I remember bringing my bike in for rehab and how do you stretch? How do you move? Can you lift? I have to be able to lift up my bike. If I can't lift it up, I can't put it on the trainer. If I can't hold the handlebar, I can't sustain my body up while riding. Like, of course, if I can't move my arms, I can't shift, or I can't move my legs, I can't pedal. That's a whole nother conversation. But everything involved movement, articulation, back on the bike. And first thing that came back, legs and sitting. So I could sit up on the bike, um, for better or worse, because there were times I actually got stuck on my bike, had to call for help because I couldn't get off. So I just was sitting there for a while, just waiting for someone to come help me off the bike. That was
Oh,
extra motivation so I could get my arms to work so I could push myself off. But that's where we got down to ultra cycling, and all of a sudden I need a goal. And being able to ride my bike when it came back, that's awesome. But what's the next step? Well, let's do something insurmountably silly. Let's do a 12-hour race in Florida because it's warm, and why not? And everyone needs a vacation. So Sebring, bring it on.
all right. I'm going to pause this there because I know you've got another meeting, right?
Yep.
All right. So Ryan's done a costume change, threw on his feed hat. But so I want to go back if you feel comfortable, um, just because I think it's important for people to understand what you've overcome. And that might be different than most, probably a little uncomfortable. But we mentioned the vehicle accident, mentioned
Mhm.
the ambulance. You broke several bones. Would you walk us through the injuries that occurred and what you had to fix through rehab and surgeries and all kinds of fun stuff?
Yeah, so when you break multiple bones, in many instances, you can either, if you're lucky, like for a collarbone, you can plate it, or sometimes it's just broken and you can just move on. Um, Now, in my case, a lot of the bones were just broken,
Okay.
and there was part of the surgery was just to remove part of the bone fragments because there was nothing to plate.
What was broken?
So, like, my vertebrae were broken, scapula, collarbone. I had torn ligaments that were severed, so those had to be replaced. Uh,
Nice. Just another day.
just another day. Yeah. So
Did you have to teach yourself how to walk?
So fortunately, my legs were just more bruised than I didn't have like broken femurs. But in that instance, just the collision itself was so impactful. More or less, there was a collision, subsequent fall that left bruising and just damage. So relearning how to walk was not on the cards, fortunately.
But
Um, but
I only asked because going into high school, I broke my left femur and
mm,
I had to, what we take for granted, I had to learn how to walk again. I actually entered high school in a wheelchair, which was more of a preventative measure. Um, but that was a very unique rehab process. So I understand that pain all too well, unfortunately.
mhm.
Where's your head at? And we went from, I would imagine, riding high. Hey, I'm an Olympic hopeful. Were you getting ready to go to trials or qualification like national
I was a week
championships
out.
from trials?
Yep. So
Ouch.
my head was in a horrible space. I mean, at this point, I was on top of the world. I had been training, I had been preparing. This was my life. And now all of a sudden, it's it's taken away, not even by my own volition. Like I didn't even
Right.
have the opportunity to try. And it's one of those things where if you try and you're not successful, at least you gave it your best shot and you tried.
Right.
In this case, I didn't even have the opportunity to try. Like it was just taken away. So that was frustrating. But on top of that, it was more of a sadness and a depression. Like my friends were in cycling, my family enjoyed the sport of cycling. I mean, that was my life. Like I looked at cycling magazines and I watched the shows or like the races. I watched movies and like so I embodied everything about the sport. And now you're telling me I'm never going to ride a bike again. Like I'm not going to watch those races or the movies in the same light. Like I'm always going to be yearning for more or frustrated or sad by an opportunity that never came my way. So, going and saying, "Hey guys, we're going to go meet up on Saturday and go hit a cafe." Can't do that. So like my social life came into focus and it was like, well, what do I do? Of course I'll make new friends, but what about my existing friends? So it was more of just a sense of almost like a panic. Like what is my life to become as a result of this not magnificent, magnitude of a change? So it
What
was,
grounded you or regrounded you besides pushing, getting back on the bike, going to rehab? I mean, there had to be something greater.
there were a few things. I think first off, my parents,
Huh?
huge, as just a support network and being there for me through everything. They
Shout
kept
out, mom and dad.
mom and dad. They've said this may not be anything like you've or anything that you faced in the past, but just like everything else that you have faced in the past, you have gone at it head first, and you have never settled for what someone has told you to do. So prove them wrong, and
Of
that stayed with me. And actions speak louder than words. Like there were some nights that were horrible, and
course,
I thought two steps or what one step forward, two steps back. Like
if not more.
this is never going to work. This is never going to work. But through everything, they remained positive and they just kept encouraging me. Like, today may not have been the best day, but tomorrow will be better. And you have the choice to make tomorrow a better day today. Today's preparations will set you up for success tomorrow or the next week or the next month. So, internally, are entirely grateful for all the support and the positive thoughts that they had and shared with me and the encouragement. But beyond that, yes, a lot of motivation to get back on the bike and focusing on how do I make myself better. Um, this cannot be the new normal. I will not stop and settle for what I have been given. This is not my choice, but my choice will be to make it better. And I just went after it every single day, trying to find the golden or the silver lining and the better outcome.
I'm curious, was there any faith component? Was there a therapist beyond the parents? Was there anything that at that scale to help you kind of recenter?
So I had physical therapists that were there to support me. And I think that goes back to what we discussed at the very beginning. Like, I'm very results driven.
Okay.
And so when I showed up for my first day of physical therapy and they went, we have to do an evaluation. Let's see how far can you move your arms? I'm like, I can't move my arms. And they said, okay, we're starting there. Like, here we are. But
literal zero.
Yeah, literally zero. And they said, okay, 1 month in, how far can you move your arms? And I'm like, well, I can go this high. And they're like, well, look at that. Look how far you've come. Like, before you couldn't move your arms at all. Let's see how far, like, you can stretch. Can you hold this weight? And can you move like your fingers? And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. Like, I'm slowly getting back. And, the doctor was very factual. And he's like, you're not going to be able to grab a seatbelt. Like, the action of taking your hand behind you, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to completely turn your body around to grab a seatbelt going forward. And my therapist said, I don't think so. I think we can get there. We're just going to keep trying. We're going to keep pushing. And it's almost just like training. It's going to be uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because it's up to you to determine how you come out and walk back out through those doors. So I wouldn't say it was a higher level like faith, but I did have the physical therapist that helped guide and really provide all the foundation for how I was going to get better.
At any point, was the conversation in your head or with professionals, doctors, etc., like, hey, Ryan, you're now disabled?
It never got that far. So in our conversations, there were times where they would say, you're never going to ride a bike again.
Right.
There were conversations like, you're never going to be able to function normally, like grab seatbelts or pick up grocery bags or wear a backpack. So there were those conversations, but it was more speculative, meaning people who have gone through similar accidents have come being like this. And they said there's like a 10% chance that you could wear a backpack again. There's a 90% chance you will never be able to, and figure it out. So it's hard in those situations because you just don't know. All that I did know was that I was in control of my future with how I progressed forward with therapy and my rehabilitation. And just like training, you put everything into it and try to get everything out of it.
That's beautiful. How long was that rehab process from basically borderline immobile to at least your first road ride? And that's got to be a big mental thing. Like,
yeah.
Last time I was on this road, do you even ride that route anymore?
No, I don't.
Right. Like, I was here, I almost died.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and get out, and I'm probably a lot less stable, or at least shaken.
It's interesting because I think back to a comment that you made earlier about racing my local criterium to get a pair of socks. So during this time was more of like, I don't even want to call it the aero revolution, but there was awareness around aerodynamics. And there was a company called Rule 28 that made these aero socks that were growing in popularity because people saw the importance, especially in velodrome racing. I saw these socks and I went, I want those socks. And I thought, how cool would it be if I go to the trials? I can wear these socks. I'll get some advantage, or mentally I'll cool cool. That never materialized. So
Matt told me that, by the way.
Sorry?
Matt told me that line.
Oh.
Why am I killing myself on a weekend to win a pair of socks?
Yeah. Well, so ironically, my father got me those socks. There was a limited edition pair of the socks. I wanted them. I still have them to this day. But I knew no matter what happened, my first road ride back, I didn't care if it was 0 degrees outside, or if it was pouring. Well, no, it would never go outside if it was pouring rain. If it was like 0 degrees outside, I
Right.
was going to wear those socks.
Okay.
And I looked at those socks every day because I knew they were sitting there. I'm like, nope, today's not the day. I'm going to get on my trainer and I'm going to sit there and pedal for 5 minutes, but I'm going to do it so I can wear those socks one day. And I just kept looking at them, and it became a reality. I remember when the day came on, it was about a year later. I was finally able to put those socks on and hit the road, and it was everything. It was so great to know I was back on the road, and it wasn't fully better. There were still some issues that I was overcoming, but I could at least ride my bike in the community, and for however long that ride was, I think it was like, again, 5 to 10 minutes of just being outside. Um, it was everything.
What did you miss the most? So I remember I broke my left femur going into my freshman year. I was on the football team. I never even took a snap in regular season as a quarterback. um, I remember showing up to practice a lot just to be a part of the culture. I missed it. I missed my friends. But one day they were running gassers, and I said, "Coach, let me hop in." He was like, "Caleb, you shouldn't be doing this." I was like, "Dude, like I'm dying, please." And to feel the wind,
Yep.
and I was like, I equate it to a sense of freedom
Mm-hmm.
of like nothing can stop me because I am in control of this. And I hadn't run, I had barely walked. I probably shouldn't have been sprinting, but they were like, "Are you sure you broke your leg?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, again, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I needed it. Like mentally, I needed to know that I needed to have that feeling again.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be a part of something bigger than myself."
Yeah.
So I just was curious if it was similar. You get
Very
out, you put the
that
socks on.
that sense of freedom, the wind rushing past you as you ride. Um, that was it. Like the feeling of the sun on my face. And it's not the same as just sitting outside on like a lawn chair.
Oh,
It's a different experience, and I love that.
all right. So at this point, you finish. We went from what you thought was probably the peak physical fitness condition you could be in to probably the worst in
Mm-hmm.
a snap. That process was about a year. You finish. How old are you at this point? Back on your bike as your first road ride again.
Yes. So how old was I? So 24.
Okay. What is 24-year-old Ryan saying to himself as he gets back on the bike? Besides, "Oh, this feels great. We already went through that." What's going through your head?
What's going through my head is that this is it's a brave new world. Things are
What?
different, but just like anything else, you have to adapt and overcome. I
Hmm.
cannot change what has been done in the past. All I can do is just manage what I have and be thoughtful and considerate as I move forward.
Pretty wise for a 24-year-old.
Well, thank you.
What gave you, again, I know your parents have had a big influence. I've seen them at the races. What gave you that perspective, that grounding, that wisdom at 24?
I would say a lot of it comes down to my parents.
Okay.
And I throughout life there have been multiple instances where I've been angry, or I guess you can summarize it as being emotional. I was very sad or angry or frustrated. And in all of those cases, they've been there. And they would turn to me and just say, okay, you're angry. Why? Can you change it? No? Then why are you angry? You're allowed to be emotional, but what if you geared and changed your emotion into positive energy to fix it? Like, can you fix it? Yes, then fix it. Why are you sad? Can you change it? I can't change what I've done, but can you make it better? Yes. Then fix it, make it better. And I think that mentality stuck with me in the sense that I can't change what has been done to me. Um, it is what it is. That's who I am today.
Right.
I can be sad about it, or I can be proactive and do something about it. And if I love riding my bike, then ride your bike, and do the best that you can. And I also remember that during my rehabilitation, there were nights where I was so distraught and just upset and in discomfort. And I kept thinking to myself, I promise myself I will never complain ever again if I can ride my bike just one more time. If I ever ride my bike again, like I'm never going to complain, this hurts, it's too hard, or I'm uncomfortable, because nothing can possibly compare to what I'm going through right now. And so it just puts into a different perspective. Like you're chasing threshold efforts and you're like, oh, it burns, it hurts. Doesn't hurt as much as it did before. This is not the same level. Like I've made it through worse. I can make it through this. So
that is huge.
yeah.
I coach basketball and football for my son and his age group. And sometimes, kids get sick, kids get injured. And then if they show up to practice, that drive, they miss being a part of the team, the drills, etc. And I'll go up to them and I'll say, hey, just like you figured out, I need you to remember how bad you missed this when you come back.
Yep.
Because how often do we take for granted just the ability to move, get out of bed, daily living, etc. And then whether it's old age or an accident or whatever, takes that away from you and you're like, what was I complaining about?
Yeah.
And how legitimate was my complaint? I've raced against you. Let me be clear. I've had my ass beat by you many times. Race across the West comes to mind when you and Marco set the record, and we didn't see you after the first exchange, and we were probably 25 miles in, and that was it. 900 miles later, we never saw you again. When you are in those uncomfortable moments, whether it's short, long training sessions, do you think back to, I know I do. I'm like, man, that doctor, never forget his face and her face. I had several doctors, I'm sure, like you. Hey, you're never going to do this. Just accept it. Why are you fighting this?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, motherfucker. If you could just see me now.
That's right.
Like, that still drives me. So I figured you had a similar experience, whether you're setting a 6-hour record or going for 900 miles in a partner. Like, man, this sucks, but I could be laying in bed, unable to sleep because the pain's so high. Like,
yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's a mix because I do think of those moments, but I've almost changed the narrative into a more positive light where I think about everyone who supported me. And I think about not just the hard times, but everyone who stood by me along the way. And that has evolved into this big tribe, if you will, a family of people, friends, coaches, people I've just met who have just been incredibly gracious and kind, sponsors, everyone who's enabled me and cheered me all along the way. And I think about those interactions and those people. I think that's where I get the most motivation and support. Like, they believe in me. And I may even lose belief in myself at times, but they never did. And they're there for me. And they may not be here right now, but I know they're cheering me on. They're thinking of me. And that is enough to bring me out of whatever pocket I'm in and to say, okay, I got this. Like, they believe in me, so I can do it.
What a great lesson. Man. Now, as you already alluded, there was the second accident. How long did that happen after 24 first ride back on the open road? When was the next accident?
So That one was 24 2023.
Okay. So you were 29-ish.
Yes.
Okay. So similar to before, you've got 5, 6, 7 years back in the saddle. Were you higher physical fitness than you were pre-trials?
I was definitely a higher physical fitness
Okay.
pre-trial. I guess it's all different level of fitness.
Right.
Unfortunately, this setback was not as bad, not as debilitating. It did require several months off the bike,
Okay.
but it was more of a managed approach. So we did not have tremendous surgeries or anything to that extent.
Well, and obviously the mindset sounds like you already had developed it. So it could have been worse.
Yep.
And you would have went, hey, I've already done this before. I'm going to trust the process. I will get back on that bike again and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Was that where your thought hit? Was that where your head was at 24? You get back on and maybe it was a 5 mile ride. Were you like, I'm going for the Olympics again? Or what was the next target besides the socks?
Besides the socks, so the next target, the Olympics never came back into mind. I
Okay.
think it came down to the point where my body is not able to produce the physical demands to handle that stress that was thrust upon it in order to qualify or be on the Olympic team. So that
Are
has,
you sure? Because I got my coaches on the Velo team. I'm just saying, I already tried to make the plug for you.
I mean, I'm always willing to take an opportunity to test and to try.
Okay.
I think now I have more confidence than I did before. So at the time,
Understandably so.
yeah, at the time it seemed more far fetched. But after, yeah, around 23, 24 time frame, I took a step back and I thought about my personal journey, if you will, and how I wanted to connect something, some way, somehow to a velodrome. And
Okay.
it took some time. I planned this initially out in 2023, and I thought I wanted to go after several world records. And it seemed insurmountable. The objective, the times, the
I
cost.
know how that feels. And your
So,
and your bar was way higher than mine. So I understand. Explain that for people who don't understand what that feels like.
uh, your best isn't good enough. I mean, you're just it's hard to swallow, and you're like, well, I could train really hard. And you're like, well, yeah, you could train really hard, but there's still such a disparity there. It's hard. It's not the same level. It would take time, and also the financial cost is a barrier you cannot overlook. It's it's not as simple as just saying I'm going to go for a run outside or a ride outside. There's a strong financial cost that makes it even more prohibitive. Uh,
Uh-huh. I would agree.
so it took time to really refine the narrative, but that's how we fast forward to 2024,
Okay.
where now there's more going for us. I have a stronger plan. I have connections. Sponsors are now in the scene, and so
Anybody you want to shout out?
there are so many people to
Come
shout
on.
out.
Hit me,
Dude,
hit me. Top five at least.
top five. Oh, geez. All right. Well, to begin with, I would have to thank Novolon so much for their support and their generosity. They were one of the first sponsors that I've had to really believe in this mission and goal. So they've been along with me for quite some time.
Okay.
The feed has been fueling my ambition from nutritional sports, from training and recovery and racing, all aspects, dialing in everything.
Okay.
Uh, I've been with them and their nutritional coaches to help me refine my strategies. And I mean, what an insightful experience for someone who studied nutrition to now have all these experts along the way. To that same vein, Super Sapiens is a company that's no longer with us, but working with so many great individuals from that team, new friendships, great opportunities, and so much that I learned from them that really kick-started this journey back in 2022. So
Okay.
several years. I mean, Dr. Vince from Infinity Bike Seat has been a huge supporter, a longtime supporter.
Let's not forget your sled. I mean, every bike you have is the slickest looking Factor I've ever seen.
That's right. But to that extent, beyond Factor, my friends at Bike Doctor, especially Chris Richardson at Richardson Bike Fit, he started fitting me on my bikes back in 2015.
Wow, that's
I
a cool relationship to
it's been
watch it bloom.
incredible. Yeah, he has literally been with me. I got one of my first time trial bikes and brought it in. I'm like, we're gonna get fit to this. So he's seen this evolution and been with me along the way. And I mean, how crazy is that? Going, we're gonna race UCI level races, and all of a sudden, Chris, throw every rule out the window. We're going for ultra cycling, and he's like, all right, let's get to work.
Let's explain as quick as you can that disparity, because there's a big difference between the
Yeah.
regulated, if you will, and the unregulated to an extent.
Well, just to that extent. So UCI racing, everything is regulated. So how far you can sit back on the bike, how high your handlebars can be, what the extension is, like how far your arms can reach out in front of you, how the angle is of your arm presented on the bike. Everything is so prescriptive, and if your bike is deemed out of measure for whatever reason, you're not barred. You have to either fix it immediately or you can't race. Or post race, you're disqualified because of an unforeseen advantage over the competition.
Right.
Now, with unregulated, of course, anything goes. And so all the conventional rules of being fit and how your body should be in proportion in this space can change. So it's a huge shift.
Right. I'm curious, what do you prefer and why?
What do I prefer? Well, I would say the easiest thing is unregulated, in the sense that I can now say this is more comfortable than that, and if that's an extra degree up higher, it's fine. Otherwise, it's I have to now force myself to conform to this body shape that I don't want to be in, and my body is just not happy. And so, yeah, get comfortable being uncomfortable, or you just be comfortable being comfortable.
Right. Very valid point. So, and the reason I bring that up, and this is in its infancy, but I know we briefly talked about it. I'm trying to go into your old world.
Mm.
Except UCI, at least right now, doesn't recognize recumbent trikes. Shout out Team USA Paracycling. Now, since that is connected with regular cycling, that door has opened, but we're trying to build that out of how do we make this work? How do we make this feasible, fair? Because eventually we want UCI to recognize us so we can race at the Paralympics. But that may mean changes.
Mm-hmm.
We have to standardize stuff in some capacity. Maybe. We don't know. You've done it all. Velo, super long ultra, super short. What do you see going forward? And again, the 31-year-old Ryan, what would you tell that in pain 22, 23-year-old self looking back?
Well, I think I'll address that in two separate answers, but starting with the second one, looking back, what would I tell myself? I would say don't give up. It's hard to recognize and to accept that things will get better when you're currently faced with this position. But just don't give up. You're allowed to express your emotions. You're allowed to feel as you do, but never give up and never lose hope that you can achieve greatness.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
As far as what's to come, it's very interesting. It's a common question that I've had with a lot of people, actually. You know, when you think of the world of ultra cycling, you think back to what is the plan progression? What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking into the other world of cycling, or even triathlons, you have different triathlon events. You have,
but it's pretty scripted, if you will.
Sure, you have like the Tour de France is like the golden race. You have a UCI international team, and you have like a domestic team, and you have a continental team. Like you have all these different teams to be a part of. In ultra cycling, you don't have that. So it's a question of, I've been to Borrego. I've won Borrego. I've won the 6. I've set the course record. I've won the 12. I don't
Set the course record.
I don't have intentions of going for a 24-hour race. Maybe as a team, but as an individual, most likely no.
I'm just curious why.
I think in my current stage of life, the amount of attention and dedication that I would need to give to a 24-hour race in order to do it justice and to race it as I would want to is too much. I think I would only be disappointed knowing the time that I have available to train and my physical condition today. I would not be able to do it justice. And I could easily get on my bike tomorrow. I say easily with a caveat. I could easily get on my bike and ride it for 24 hours.
Right. If you had the time and the support and
but to race it as I wanted to requires a lot more training and due diligence.
I would agree.
And so
I've done it both, and I've showed up unhappy at several finish lines. I understand exactly what you're saying.
So I think that's the reason why. I look at greater races like Race Across America. And I had plans to race Across America twice. Both fell through. But
was that relay style or
relay style? Yes.
Huh?
And so would I consider that as an opportunity? Yes, I would. But it goes back to the same challenge. I would want to do it at my pace, at my race. Like I would want to go to win, not just to check off a box that I did it. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty as to what is to come. I'm still trying to figure that out. But
I think that's a very fair and honest answer.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that level of vulnerability. I think of Iron Cowboy. Are you familiar with him?
I am, yes.
So I, in no way, claim to fame, but I rode with him one day, got dropped during the 100.
Mm-hmm.
Day 8. Man, they say don't meet your heroes. James Lawrence, you're the fucking man. Humble, family man. Everything that he professes to be publicly, social media, that's who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful for that opportunity. Got some cool photos with him. Stryker was actually in the support vehicle.
Oh, that's cool.
At one point, though, and you understand this, they got a massive tailwind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it don't really affect me that much. I'm low to the ground. They took off. I couldn't keep up, and we were already moving. We're about 80 miles in. I called his daughter Lucy, who was kind of his crew chief. I'm like, hey, they dropped me, and I don't know where I'm at, and I'm panicking a little bit. And thankfully, she kind of talked me down. And obviously, this was several years ago, so a lot that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they asked him the same question. You set world records and then the high wears off. I'm going to ask you that here in a second, how that felt. But they're like, okay, cool, what's next? And he's like, can't I just be satisfied?
Yeah.
like I just destroyed myself, theoretically, for you, for the fans, for whatever, and nothing is enough. But why I bring up the world record piece, obviously we both share that. For me, at the time, I felt that was going to fix or heal or satisfy some part of me that I thought I was missing. And then I did it. And I've done it again. And it's never like, oh, now I've arrived.
Mm.
I think back to Michael Phelps. He's always been my Olympic inspiration. I grew up a swimmer. He's like, I just won 8 gold medals in Beijing and set multiple world records. And I want to kill myself. Like, it ain't what you think it is. You get there, it's a cool asterisk on a resume. It's a conversation starter. But they're going to get broken. They don't fulfill you. You've got several records. What did you have a better mindset going in or a rude awakening coming out of
I think both. I think
it?
going in, it was daunting. I keep saying that when I went for my first set of world records on the outdoor velodrome, I had no idea if I could even do this. Up until that point, I hadn't even ridden my bike outside for more than 4 hours. Up to that point, I was so fatigued and tired, I could hardly control the bike. And I thought, I have to do this for 6 hours? How the heck am I going to do this? And so there was a lot of uncertainty. And once I did it, that sense of satisfaction was huge. And it wasn't the first thought was not, I just broke a world record. My first thought was, like, I did it. Like, all the hard work paid off. Those monotonous days inside this Airbnb kitchen that had no fan, it's pouring rain, I have like heat going because whatever reason I have the heat on, and I'm just sweltering, thinking life is miserable. Like it all paid off. And then the realization hit, I broke these world records. Then the next thought was, enjoy it because it may not last. Records are made to be broken, and someone will come along and they will break my record. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I just put my best foot forward, proud of the achievement that I've done. But now it goes down to what's next. And I think fortunately in 2024, when I did this, I had a set of plans. So when I finished the first set of world records, I went and thought that it was not over yet. I had more to go. I definitely saw opportunities for improvement, and I was not done yet. So I kept moving forward and moving forward. And then when I finished my last set of world records on the indoor velodrome, I think that's when reality hit hard, and the thought came up of, what's next? And I'm waking up at 4 in the morning to train for several hours before work. I'm tired. I'm trying to
Why?
start a social life. Like, why am I doing this? If I don't have a why, then it's just not the same. And I was struggling. Okay, I've got threshold efforts tomorrow morning. Why? What am I doing this for? I don't have a race lined up. I don't have a world record to break. So why am I doing this? Is it just exercise? I could sleep in. I don't have to ride my bike for 3 hours. I could go for an hour or so. I could eat a little bit less. Um, you know, why? And I struggle with that for a while. It's hard to have that mental support to move forward if I don't have that why. Ultimately, several races came up. I knew I wanted to target it, and then of course my support network came through, and everything kind of panned out and worked itself out.
Curious, why do you race? And maybe there's different races have different meanings or objectives, but overall, do you have this? I'm as I try to be as transparent as possible. This all started out for me. I had to prove to myself I was good at it because
Yeah,
the thoughts in my head were, "You're a piece of shit. You never accomplished X, Y, Z in the military. You never measured up." And I had people literally telling me this. So it it wasn't my thoughts, but I started to believe it. So that's why I started this. And then there's been a healing and a growth and a controlling the controllables. But what drove you? I mean, you've been doing this half your life.
yeah.
And has the motivation changed from 15 to now?
Motivation definitely did change. I think in the earlier years, I wanted to do it to myself. I was motivated and I was excited because I wanted to learn. I
Okay.
let that sense of accomplishment come through. I wanted to see how much I could improve. And from a scholastic perspective, I was my own test subject.
Mhm.
So if you're learning about building muscle or going to the gym for strength training, I wanted to learn, I wanted to test. And so I wanted to try protein powders or different protein meals or like not meals, diets. I wanted to learn about like base functional diets to isolate anything that would aggravate my stomach or my whole body. So that motivated me to train and to learn about different aspects of my life and how that all comes together as we shift through life. I think the realization goes down that one of the main reasons that I do compete is to prove to myself that I can. That sense of accomplishment is still there, but it's always just been like to make someone proud. Like I want my parents to be proud. I want my girlfriend to be proud. I want my friends to be proud. I want my support network to be proud.
Would
Um,
you not say they already are though?
I would say they already are, but I have continual opportunities to put my best foot forward and to do greater things. And so now, if I'm racing, it's amazing to think that you could be proud by saying you won this race. But and then there's another that would be, I'm so proud of you. We're now supporting a charity, and so now we're giving back to the community. We're making this bigger than just a bike race. Now we're impacting other people's lives. So I think there's that essence that is there to do a greater good. And I think that's whatever I strive to do in the coming years, it's to add emphasis onto that, to do greater beyond just myself.
That's cool. That's kind of what I was hoping, but with elite athletes, man, you never know. Some people are, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but some people are just out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I would potentially argue that really just breeds insecurity.
Yes.
As somebody who had been there, like, hey, it's got to be about me because I got to be better than everybody else. And yeah, that's part of being competitive. But when you constantly win and you're never satisfied,
Yeah.
it's like, you might want to seek some professional help, my guy.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of insecurities that go along the way, but of course, I want to win. I mean, what athlete doesn't? But at the same time, there's also like the second thought in the back of my head going, I don't care who's doing better than me because I'm doing pretty well. Like I'm having fun. I may not win this race, but we've just donated 50 grand to this charity. Like that's awesome.
Who have you partnered with? I'm curious. I didn't know you had started partnering with charities, so that's pretty cool. I'd like to highlight that.
Yeah. So actually, starting this year, San Diego Valley Youth.
Yeah. All
That's
right,
right.
Matt Hoffman. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we've got some big plans with the San Diego Valley Youth, and more to come on that. I think there's a big project underway, and if this first swing goes successfully, there's a lot more to come. A lot of excitement to share, and a lot of growth opportunity.
Hey, Matt, we're still going to get you a pair of socks.
That's right.
Well, as your mind shifts back to work, any parting thoughts for me, for the audience, on whatever you'd like, whether it's, hey, this is a lesson I learned that found most impactful, or this is how I balance, or shout out Jenna, whatever.
I think the most appropriate thing to say is I'm totally going to butcher this quote. I couldn't even tell you who it's from, but you're capable. Okay. You're far more capable beyond than what you can believe. There's something to that extent. And as I was going through all of my rehabilitation, the one quote that really stuck in my head, in addition to that, was, "What would you attempt to do if you knew you couldn't fail?"
Oh, I love that.
There's so much that just holds us back from a mental perspective that I think there's a lot more that people could accomplish if we just went head forward and tried. Just give your best, move forward as if you knew you couldn't fail, and have that confidence. And if you do fail, learn, but get back up and try again. Never lose sight, never lose focus, and just give it your all every single time.
I agree 100%. My last question, I always have two final parting thoughts. One, you could have three people on here kind of understanding the format and what I like to focus on. Who would it be? And please make the connection if so. And then the second thing is this. You're on your deathbed, wherever that is, whenever that is. Everything you said and done, media, print, interviews, is gone. What's the final thought? And maybe you just shared it, of hey, this is kind of my life legacy, etc. from Ryan?
Well, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be confident knowing that I made the world a better place. And I think that that could extend into many different forms. That's either touching the lives of one, two, three people, putting a smile on someone else's face, um, whatever that may be. I think no matter what I end up doing, the hope is to leave the world in a better place than when I first came in.
Okay, I appreciate that. And who would you have on in whatever capacity with the people that you know, or who do you think would enjoy this?
Three people. Well, I think that's a trick question, and it's an unfortunate answer. The first would be um, my former coach, Andy Jackson,
Okay.
a huge inspiration in the world of ultracycling, from just a good person and a great friend. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He was one of those who greatly inspired me to pursue these world records and helped me formulate this plan to get there. He was the one who pushed me through getting into ultracycling, from finishing my first race to then breaking course records at Sebring, the Maryland Endurance Challenge, racing at Borrego and winning at Borrego. He has a lot of experience, had a lot of experience, and I knew that he would love this format and just a source of inspiration and wisdom. So, shout out Andy.
Andy, rest in peace. Thank you
Yeah.
for helping Ryan. I appreciate that.
Another individual as a great friend, of course, Chris Stevens. Chris was my partner for Race Across the East. An amazing guy. I'll let him tell you his stories, but if you have titles for episodes, I would call it From Pumpkins to Bikes. And so
Okay.
I'll leave it at that. But a great guy, a lot of fun to talk to, and a lot of history around bikes.
I look forward to that. Please connect
Yeah.
us.
So that would be a really interesting conversation. And then for the third individual, um, hmm, this is an interesting question. Where to even begin? Um, I'm torn between two names.
Send them both.
I would say Wendy Larson.
I love me Wendy. She is my teammate.
Yeah, I think she'd be great here.
I agree.
And then Chrissy Tracy.
Love Christy too.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Both great friends, both phenomenal in their respective disciplines. Christy, not that you wouldn't have joined me, but I can't imagine trying to work in this and then back and forth in meetings. Your coworkers would probably be like, "What are you doing?" But knowing Christy, she would probably interview while riding just like I am. So
yeah,
those are great recommendations. Powerful females. And man, I just appreciate your vulnerability, your time. What I found, just so you understand, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna drop it in an AI app. It's gonna synthesize probably the top 10, 60 to 90 seconds. I'm gonna drop those here between today through next week. And then next Saturday, this interview will go live on YouTube and in its entirety. And I found that especially those small segments, they just seem to find the right person when they need it.
yeah,
May not be right away, but I think there's a lot of power in being authentic. We need more of it. And you never know when you're going to reach somebody. I'll finish with this. Not looking to aggrandize myself. At one point, somebody did something similar with me. I put my phone number at the end of the video, which is risky. I just felt, man, if people need somebody to talk to, I threw it out there. A Catholic priest in your neck of the woods reaches out. Hey, I'm going through very similar scenarios. I'm in a bad mental headspace. I'm physically disabled. And Father Larry is now riding the same type of bike that I am.
wow,
And back to preaching on Sundays. And so you never know. I mean, it was like a year and a half later, I got a weird voicemail from a number I didn't know, heard it, and I went, oh, I got to call this guy back.
Yeah.
So, just the power of being authentic. You're going to reach somebody where they need it, when they need it, how they need it. So
That's awesome.
thank you, sir. It takes some guts to do what you've done, not just in this, but in life. And I'm proud to call you friend.
Very proud to call you my friend too.
All right, my brother. Take care.
Yeah.
Enjoy your meetings for the rest of the day. And
Enjoy the rest of your ride.